Okay, I see the record. All right.
All right. So, welcome to another episode of Curious Success. This is episode 18. My name is Rashim. I am the key contributor, and I have my guests that I'm gonna just briefly let them introduce themselves as we go around, and just pretty much describe, your mood coming into this conversation today. So anyone could go first.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rashad Jenkins, and pretty much my mood coming into today is I'm open-minded, and I'm here to discuss.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Clee Vesta Hainsworth. Some people know me as Clee. Same thing as Rashad. Like, my mood is positive energy and just open to, a healthy conversation.
Hey, what's up, folks? Simba here, friend of the podcast, friend of the main man, Rashim. My mood, my vibe, just coming together on United Front and bringing good energy and good conversation to obviously what's been going on. So looking forward to the conversation.
Good afternoon, family. I'm Mono Gosen. I'm excited. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, today's topic is where are we at with our Black man credibility? So this was something that came to mind based on just like the recent social justice issues, racial issues, and just like the present climate. And it made me, kind of like do a deep reflection and ponder like, well, what would be good for me to do as a podcast episode that kind of like brings some insight to like how I feel as a Black man and how my brothers feel as Black men in this world. And, with the perception of where that, there's oppression, there's suppression, there's ridicule, there's criticism, all these different things. And, with that being the case in terms of like barriers, we still have to do what we can do to rise to a certain level of influence, to become leaders, within a small environment or big environments, whatever setting we're in. I know that's something that we're looking to, for the most part, from what I know of each of you are trying to accomplish. So where we at with our Black man credibility is focusing on that. It's like, you're thinking about how you are looked at. Do you feel people believe in what you got going on? Do you feel like people gravitate to what you got going on? Do you feel like you have influence? Do you feel like you are leading by example? Do you feel like you are presenting yourself as a positive role model or as a role model, period? Right? So that's what the pretty much the conversation will be about today. So my first question for you all as we go around is there a certain profile that a Black man has to present in American society?
Now, when I read that question off the rip, I was saying like, there's no set structured profile that a Black man has to fit, because it doesn't matter where you at and which aspect of life, on the poor spectrum or on the rich spectrum, you're still Black, and that's all that matters.
I say, of course, regardless of how ones want to feel or whatever, a Black man has to try to walk around and portray to be something else, because he don't want to be looked upon as what they're already stereotyping him as. You get what I'm saying? So you have a lot of Black men out there being what they're not, trying to separate themselves from that. So of course they have to do that. It is what it is. Should it? No. I don't feel that way, but it is what it is.
Agreed. I feel like, and obviously, being an immigrant and you seeing how Black people act where you're from, and then you come to America and you see how, like you're doing something to fit in. And I feel like we shouldn't have to, right? put it like this: other races don't do that. They all different. They treat us like if we all the same. We a monolith. Like we one size fits all. Like we could be anybody who we want to be. But I feel like from a social perspective, that's how Black people are viewed in this country. And I think that's how it's shown, right? Especially given the watershed moment, George Floyd, and obviously the Black Lives Matter movement since March, since COVID. You're starting to see all these different things happen. To me, I think it's wrong. That's not how it should be. But when you really look at it, even when you fit in that box, sometimes I feel like you fit within a certain profile, you better not act up, because we've seen celebrities, we've seen people who are rich. You got to act a certain way, and it doesn't matter how much wealth you got. It don't matter if you went to the Ivy League school, so it doesn't matter education front. It don't matter generational. They still gonna say you need to act a certain way because we run things quote unquote around here. So definitely there's a certain profile that I believe society, especially Black men, right?
Yeah.
Obviously Black or women or sisters too, but we, per the question, especially Black men, and 100% agree that it's wrong and that's not how it should be.
Yeah, I agree with everybody. I think also due to like unconscious bias, like they already have a certain profile made up for us. And when we don't fit that profile, it's kind of like strange and they can't believe it, which forces us to like prove ourselves. You know, they look at us as like criminals, thugs, gangbangers, absentee dads, all that. And when there are like Black men who don't fit that category, it's almost like hard to believe. You know what I mean? Like me, like I'm in a pursuit of like becoming a physician, and it's like if you should take a Black doctor and a white doctor, and they could all graduate from the same school, and like the white doctor is just normal. It's like, oh, he's a doctor. Like I'm Black and I'm a doctor. It's like, nigga, like how the fuck you get there? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what's your track record? Like, how many patients you save? Like, you gotta have all these questions. Like, you just can't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like that profile they put on us. So it's like I feel like we always gotta prove ourselves. Like, no matter what. It's not right, but that's just how the shit is set up. You know what I mean?
And I give out this to piggyback that I give you an example. Like, so I work in corporate, and I always remember this. The first time probably the second week I was there. And I feel like, it's crazy. It's not only other races. I also feel like, all the things that have happened to us, over the course of time with slavery, etc. I think you even see some Black people adopting that type of profile. So I remember like somebody, a Black woman, she was like an executive assistant to somebody. She's like, oh, after she saw me after maybe a month, I should say, my bad. And she saw I was acting, how I conducted myself, how I spoke, how I did my work. She's like, oh, you know what she said? She said, oh, you're not one of the other ones. Oh, you're not one of those. Black woman, right? Older woman, obviously, probably in her 50s at that point. So I've seen it obviously from the other side of the house and even amongst our own, so I feel like it's permeated to within our culture, within our race, etc. And it shouldn't be, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely have seen that from using your the doctor point that you made.
And it's crazy too, because like the key point what you said, like after you conducted yourself, she was like, oh, but like what you had on your paper, your resume, your credentials should speak for itself. But correct. You had to prove yourself by how you conduct yourself for her to be like, oh, all right, like you're a little different.
Yeah, I have to fit a profile. I have to look a certain way.
That stereotypical Black last name or something like that, or first name, like Jamal. Oh, we know what we getting with Jamal and them.
I'm gonna tell you one more. I went to DC last week, and obviously my first name is Simba, right? African name, born before Lion King, but it's all she wrote once that movie came out, right? all she wrote, right? And Airbnb, and you got to put your profile, and now that you got to have ID and all that stuff. So not a problem. I put that through, and I'm going with obviously with my lady friend, and she was telling me, oh, you booked it? And I submitted everything, and I got a message when I'm in the app, we doing a background check. And the first thing she said, background check? She said, I never had to do that. What? And I don't know if because of my name, I don't know if it was because of my, obviously the profile, a Black picture, right? I don't know what it was, but that was also the first time that I've seen that. Maybe it's part of their policy, but I'm not gonna lie to you fellas. When I saw that, I was like, here we go again. And the fact that other people are like, I've never experienced that, who are non-Black, piqued my interest to be like, here we go again. So that's like real loud. That's last week.
That's great.
What I was going to add too, when I think about this profile, is like for Black people, but I think it could go both ways, because I feel like the Black woman can like be in like in the same, like the weight that they have to hold could be similar to the Black man. But just using the Black man as a, because that's what the question's focused on, it's a certain level of containment that we have to present, you know, whereas like, I don't know if they think, oh, if say, for example, we get too passionate about something, we might unleash a beast or something that's going to like, you know, be like King Kong and like try to break down a building or something like that. But I just feel like there's always this perception that we have to be contained in terms of like how we like choosing words carefully. We can't come across as too aggressive. You know, if we are passionate about something, people may consider that a threat. It's just various perceptions that I feel like we get categorized for or put in boxes for, and it really feels like, you know, one has to like toe the line in terms of how, like, you know, they conduct themselves based on, I think is you know, I don't know if it's, you know, like Nas said in his song Hate Me Now, like people feel what they don't understand, because I feel like there is a better understanding based on just how we conduct ourselves in this world, period, that people can gain knowledge on who the Black man is. But I still feel there's a lack of understanding and comprehension when it's in someone's face, you know, when they can see how that person acts and how they handle themselves. So I really think containment, like a certain contained perspective, contained presentation has to be presented for like people to like take us in and not feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, man, I agree with you on that. I definitely think understanding and education is key. You know what I mean? Like if you don't know something about a particular individual, you're already gonna have like preconceived judgments on them. You don't fully understand. And I think the barrier is also like the lack of communication. And sometimes we all fall victim to that. Like me, I feel like I'm an open person, but honestly, my core group of friends and family, like we all Black. So I can't even like tell you like how a person from another race, how their culture may go. And they may look at me like, hey, like, why you wearing a do-rag? Like, what is that for? Or like, why you wearing Timbs and it's not even like snowing outside? You know what I mean? Like, they don't understand it, but it's part of the culture. And until we like, you know what I'm saying? Like until we connect and build to understand each other, I feel like it's gonna be a hard time getting over that like hurdle.
You know, another thing, which you just use an example of clothing, is like, why are you wearing tracksuits? Why are you wearing sneakers? Why are you rocking all this Nike apparel and all the other good stuff? It's like, okay, are you an athlete? Like, what's going on? Are you the local rapper? You know, are you the local riffraff or whatever the case? But it's like these things that it's like automatic. What can we do? I remember one time I was out with a couple of, and it was mixed race individuals, but I was like the only Black person that was with them. And we walked into like some dive bar with like sawdust on the floor or something like that. And when we walked in, everybody just stopped when they saw me. And I was like, huh? No autographs. I'm sorry. Later. I'll take a picture with you. But it was crazy. It was just like, and I have like, I was dressed up like for like, I was just going to work, you know, I had a little business casual attire, whatever the case. But other than that, like, other than my complexion, I don't understand what was the reason why everybody had to stop and like, you know, you could hear a penny drop. I was just weird.
There's some weird shit. Like I went to I lived in Virginia for like a good year or two, And I was working out there, and it was like this dude, like he was like in his 50s, maybe 54 or something. He looked like he was like 70. All he knew was like Virginia. He knew nothing else. Like never been to New York, never really been out. But he get all his information from like the news and shit, the media.
Mm-hmm.
So he think he know everything about black people and all that. And then one day I came into work, and I was out for like a couple of days, maybe 3-4 days. And I come in, and this dude is like, "Yo, do you know Fetty Wap?" I'm like, yeah, I know Fetty Wap. Like, what's up? Oh, the other day I saw some Rap Snap chips in a parking lot. I thought it was yours. Son. I was like, what? Like, yo, that shit got me so tight. I literally had to walk away. Like, you see some Rap Snap chips and you thought it was mine, nigga?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just a lack of understanding. Like, you mad ignorant for thinking that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It does play a part with exposure
said,
too,
right? You said something about like he got all his information from the media, but I believe the media is doing us a disservice as a whole, because it's adding to all those stereotypes, and it's not helping us. Like from the beginning of time, I don't want to say from the beginning of time, but like just look at like that first movie, Birth of a Nation. Not the last one that was in theaters, the first one that they showed in the White House, and how it depicted us as people. We've been fighting these stereotypes for that long. And to go back to like credibility, on the flip end, it's like with those stereotypes, it's expectability. Like, oh, I expect you to fall into this category because that's what society says. And a lot of us as a whole end up falling into those categories and proving those stereotypes wrong, right.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely agree. The media narrative definitely hasn't helped. And to that point, with the Virginia example, I remember I heard, I think Barack Obama, when he was in office, he's like, America is actually not like the Northeast. Like, if you're in the Northeast, New York, Philly, Boston, like it's typically a blue state, right? Certain things, how they move, but that's not America. So you go outside of that, and there's quite a lot of people who you're talking about, like culturally, or they weren't raised around anyone of people of color, or obviously Black people, and they're going right of what they think is right, or what their own perceptions or assumptions of Black people based on what the media says, what social media says, word of mouth, right, from another person who looks like them, and not actually, to your point, communicating. And I think like understanding like who we are and what we're all about, which leads to more of the nonsense, which leads to more of the profiling, and people, one size fits all. So he looks a certain way, then he's like that, and goes to your point of you have to prove to them that you're not that, right? Which is nonsense, and because clearly that's not the other case. You know what I'm saying? We get, you get a profile before you even open your mouth, based on how you look, right, and obviously the complexion of your skin. And a lot of other races don't have to go through that. And you have to prove. So it's like if you're guilty and you got to prove your innocence by talking, how you speak, how you move, letting them know that I'm not that. I'm just trying to go about my way to my business. You do what you need to do. I'm gonna do what I need to do.
But that's the thing too, to piggyback off of that, which is a good point, because I feel like the profile is pretty much filtered through these various stereotypes. So, even bringing up like a tracksuit, or like, oh, you wearing your do-rag outside, you outside with like board shorts on, or Olas. I don't even know if they call them Olas anymore. Shit, that's I might be dating myself. Anyway, my bad. My bad. Yeah. But, but it's like, it's like certain things that I know I've personally done it. Like, oh, I'm not wearing do-rags in public no more. I'm not going outside like my do-rag on, walking a block or walking to the store or something like that. It's just certain things like I veered away from. It's like, certain clothing, because I already know I was kind of like being boxed in these various stereotypes and categories, where it's like, I'm not going to present that, but I felt myself like, before is like when one is like learning their identity and then they figured out their identity, it presents certain differences in terms of like how they will, you know, experience that. And I think that was the thing for me too, was like, okay, like now I can't show them that I'm wearing a do-rag. I can't show them this, but I know who I am now. So I'm comfortable with how I am now, and I value that. So I can feel comfortable going outside however I please, because I've gained that comfortability. But how do you feel about people being challenged by that? Or do you feel like you might have done that? It's like, you know what? Nah, I ain't gonna wear, you know, this particular outfit today because I feel like, you know, I might get judged on, you know, this way I'm putting this clothing together. I can't go to this party. No, I'm going to be around a bunch of white people and I got on a big ass gold chain or fronts in my mouth. And then I'm asking for chicken.
Right. I think, I mean, it's kind of tricky because at the end of the day, I feel like we shouldn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's a part of our culture, that's a part of our culture. I mean, there's a time and a place for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could kind of modify how you do it or when you do it, but at the end of the day, I feel like we should never lose touch of that. Like, I always say this thing too, like even when I become a doctor, like, I'm going to wear my Timbs in the office. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to switch up. Like,
nah, you don't want to do that, man. Hold up. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that only because you be on your, from what I know from, you know, friends or people,
yeah.
you be on your feet a lot. I don't know if Tim's are that comfortable.
Right.
That's a bad move only from a comfort perspective.
Yeah, they definitely not comfortable.
Yeah.
Exactly. I haven't worn a pair of Timbs in a while, so that's why I just like double check.
Welcome, Charles. Charles finally joined us.
Charles, what up?
From some remote location.
That reminds me when you invited us out for your birthday and I sent you the picture of the Timbs. It was like, yeah, you could wear those. I get down to Delancey Street and couldn't get in the club.
Oh, word. And then, you know, the funny thing is, yo, I remember that night too, because the dude was like, yo, you can't get in here with Timbs, right? And I think you had on like the Beef and Brox, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. And the crazy thing is, he said, you can't get in with Timbs. And I had on Timbs, but my Timbs were shoes Timbs. So I'm like, I got on Timbs, like, just because it's a shoe, it's a boot, like, what's the difference? It's crazy.
It's funny.
And hold up, that in itself is a profile. Because because you got on that Timbs, you a certain type of dude.
Yeah,
that's all that.
Beef and broccoli's look dangerous.
Yeah, that's
you come there with no beef and broccolis.
Sir, see, can't wear no beef and broccolis.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, that, that's hilarious, Rashard. You bought that shit in. I remember that shit like it was yesterday, man.
You starting
but
trouble.
No, I mean, but you know, I think that you gotta understand too, like a lot of these businesses tailored sort of like their dress code based off of what they deem as acceptable or unacceptable, in the sense to where to keep out certain people. You know what I'm saying? Like Rashard said, you know, like Clee just mentioned, you know, if he had Timbs, like the brand itself, but it was actually shoes, but Rashard had the actual construction boots, it's a matter of the look. It's a matter of like, we're not welcoming that look, you know? So it's like you're judged from, you know, at the gate. And I was, to be honest with you, I mean, I remember there were certain spots to where they were like lenient with as far as like certain clubs, more so like when clubs were popping. I do remember when they were more lenient as far as like letting 18-year-olds and whatnot. But I was around, you know, for that whole transition from to where it was no shoes, no sneakers, no tees, no jerseys, you know, and it's all these different things that speaks to like Black culture and Black fashion, to which they said was unacceptable, you know, and they created all these different protocols and whatnot just to keep us out from certain places, which again just forced us to get a little bit more creative and just make, you know, wearing shoes and long sleeve shirts, you know, like button up shirts, you know, popping. And then all of a sudden that became a thing, you know. So I feel like ultimately, like in a lot of these spaces to which it's not a matter of creative or, you know, necessarily our own, it's always going to come with certain restrictions, everything. And it's always going to come with biases and prejudices that's behind it, that they're rooted in. You know what I'm saying? So I think, like, you know, like I said, it's wrong, but ultimately, you know, unfortunately, that's how this Western society culture, you know, how it works.
Or like I never went to a club or a spot and it was like no vans allowed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have never seen that.
That's a great point.
Like,
That's a good point.
That's very much a point. That's very, yeah.
That's a
They,
great point,
they
man.
probably flip that on you, but like no sneakers.
yeah.
But you know the funny thing is like sometimes they say that, but you and I mean we haven't been to clubs like that, you know, because like I said, I feel like the whole club era is like died down. But like even lounges, they'll say no sneakers. But like you said, somebody might come with a pair of Vans. You know, it just depends on how they dress up. They probably have like a polo shirt, some fitted jeans, whatever the case would be. All right, come right on in. It wouldn't even be a question.
Yeah.
You know, because again, that is something that's transferable, you know, into white culture, white society, you know, like college co-ed kids and stuff like that. It's fucked up ultimately, because sometimes like you think about certain spots where they do this at, and sometimes it's spots like uptown in Harlem to where they have these restrictions, like you can't wear this, you can't wear that, and it's like, seriously, it's supposed to be for us. You know what I'm saying? So it's messed. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know. That definitely force you to like really think about a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? As far as like what's acceptable for them and what's not acceptable for us. And not for nothing. I don't mean to like go off topic real quick, but I don't know if y'all heard. Apparently, there was some woman that I seen that was on LeBron's feed to where they're allowing her to choose which jail she can go to or which prison she can spend time in.
Yeah, Lori, the one who did the bribe to get her kids in.
Lori
USC, yeah, that's it.
Full House.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
I read the article, but I saw the headline. Yeah.
You know the vibes.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're gonna probably have a bedazzled pillow, met with a latte and all that, man.
Yeah.
They're gonna have.
She's gonna choose to do it from home. She's gonna choose to do it from
right.
She gonna do a ton remotely.
They go like, let's show you where she's doing her time at. She's in her backyard. She's in a pool house.
Like, but again, that speaks to like, you know, what's acceptable for them and not us. You know what I'm saying? Like that's even.
I ain't never heard of that.
Yeah.
There was a black lady who did the same crime, but she got 7 years. She didn't get a couple months. You know, all she did was change her kid's zip code to get her kid into a better school. She got
people do that all the time.
She got 7 years, but this Caucasian
people
lady
do that all the time. When I was back home, like in Trinidad, like my one of my boys growing up, he used my address to be able to get into the high school that he got into because he lived super far away, like 45 minutes away. And he used our address to get in. Because if he used his actual address, he would be less likely to get it, even if his grades were of the standard. So people, to me, that was ridiculous because people do it all the time.
People do it every day.
Yeah.
I just show that.
I just did that 2 years ago.
isn't equal as they say it is, because this chick was involved in the whole scandal and got 2 months.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, that I think realistically speaking, like this profile maybe needs to be discussed more or put out there more, because I really feel like we're constantly fighting against the stereotypes. And you know, like I said, like I heard all of your viewpoints around it, and they all make sense in terms of just how the profile is. But I really feel like I think that containment is also because they don't want us to be greater than we are. You know, so it's a constant, you know, push for limiting the influence, limiting the power. You know, if you are going to make money, or like if you're allowed and you're a multimillionaire as far as a black person, it's like you still got to operate out of the white person system. You know, that money still got to be going through our banks. You know, we still have to make sure that we're proving certain things, or we're signing certain checks, or whatever the case. And
basically, you have to walk on eggshells. That's what it really is. Walking on eggshells. That's what we have to do. We got to make sure we don't break anything. We don't step out of line. We don't display any signs of aggression or anger. We don't want to be destructive.
And I think like subconsciously, like the media and also like society feeds that. You know what I'm saying? Because it shows that, like, in the media, like, all right, if this lady or this white lady could do this crime, she get 2 months, choose a jail. You're a black person, you do this crime, you getting 7 years. So it's like subconsciously, it's like, damn, like, because I'm black, if I do this, it's a wrap. But the white person get away. And like the white people thinking they could get away with it. So it's just like they fostering that mentality. And it like Rashad says, like we gotta walk on eggshells. Like, damn, I can't do this, so I gotta be cautious and this. Even when I got pulled over last week, I'm like, oh shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? As soon as you see the lights, it's like, I don't know how this shit gonna go down. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though I know I didn't do anything wrong, it's like
that's a great point, man. Because when you guys say that, to me that is mentality. And if I know I could do something and I just get a slap on the wrist, then I kind of like, you kind of create a kind of complex that I know I could do something and I could get away with it, right? As opposed to us, that you do something and I know there could be serious ramifications for it. So to me, not only are you walking on eggshells, but to me that what we all know we have as black people, that energy and that spirit and the vibe, to me, like that confidence, like how you move and, trying to be proactive and a go-getter sometimes, I think that limits it. Because know there's certain limits or constraints that they're putting specifically for people who look like us. So inherently, when you think about those things, you're not probably, because I don't, if you guys speak to like different white people or other people, other races, and you thinking about an idea or how to create a business, all these different things, they act like if it's like, and we be like, oh damn, I wonder if am I gonna get this loan? Am I gonna get, I don't know. And they're like, nah, we just do this. Nah, I'll take care of this. Now they ain't got no, like everything is, I know I'm going to get it. Like you just have that. So that mentality to me is helping to perpetuate the nonsense.
Mm-hmm. And
that's been going on for, years and years.
And also too, I know it's like we typically always like blame or look at the person like in the forefront of it. But I think we have to hold like society and the justice system accountable. Because it's like a student, if you always cutting classes, like you're not listening, you ain't doing the work, and the teacher's giving you straight A's, you're not gonna be like, yo, teacher, don't give me an A because I'm not showing up. Like you're gonna be like, all right, cool, I could get away with it, like give me these A's, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like we can't really blame them too much because society and the justice system is letting them rock. So it's kind of like we gotta look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it definitely is rooted. It's rooted in a lot of different systems, and I think that when people talk about education reform, school reform, I think that that's big. Because the access to education, it's funny because me and my wife, we talk about this all the time, and the one thing that she mentioned was in regards to like the Haitian Revolution. But I mean, well, she's Haitian, so she already knew about that. But just like when it was discussed in school, whereas in my public school education, that wasn't the case. I didn't learn about that shit till college. Until I got into African American Studies classroom, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, when we discuss history, why are we learning about history about the people that oppressed us? A history that that really does not have anything to do with us. But the first black person they'll teach you about, and I remember distinctly for me in first grade, was Martin Luther King. We know about Martin Luther King Day, but we know about Martin Luther King, and to me, that's just a point of conditioning as far as like letting you know somebody that looks like you, this is how you're supposed to act. This is how you're supposed to act accordingly. Even though you're a part of this environment and whatever you see, what you see, this is how you're supposed to act. And I think like that's just the precedent as far as like how y'all was saying, as far as we can't be too loud. We can't be, we can't show too much confidence. We have to do just enough, just to stay in the room, but not too much to where anything can cause us to get kicked out the room or face some sort of repercussions or ramifications, And I think that like it really, we have to look at every part of the system to where it definitely conditions us and lets us know how we should be acting, which is to where white people, they don't have that. Everything, the template is already set for them. And if they do fuck up, it's like, so what? You're going to get that slap on the wrist. Somebody's going to look out for you. Society deems what they do is acceptable and okay. But for us, just dressing wrong, obviously, can have you face like those ramifications of repercussions of just being, and I think like that's where all this comes into, where it's like we always have to think, as far as like how do we even just exist in all these systems? How do we, it comes from how we talk, how we dress, how we act, and for the other side it doesn't work like that.
I want to transition into this another question that I think and I think this plays out through these systems. It's just so interesting that we have to learn to live and be ourselves through all these various systems. And can dysfunction and systematic trauma be thwarted in a Black man's upbringing in America? So can dysfunction and systematic trauma be prevented in a Black man's upbringing in America?
No.
It would take a lot. I mean, to be prevented.
Yeah, we got to find a cure first.
Yeah,
Cure for what?
Yeah, because I personally don't think, to say it can't, that's a strong like word, but like honestly, it's like almost impossible to be prevented. I think more so we should like focus on like how to treat it, how to deal with it, deal with the traumas. I think that's something that most of us tend to lack.
So this is a follow-up question right here. Sure. Even though it's like there's some of us who are not parents, but there's two individuals who are parents. So when I think about like you being a parent and how you raising your children, like, do you feel like you're taking them away from that viewpoint, that impression, that train of thought, like, oh, this is how it's going to be. Like, there's going to be some trauma in our household. There's going to be some dysfunction in our household. Do you feel like you are taking, like, you're pretty much kind of like canceling out that impression?
Okay. For the most part, because you said household, yeah, I'm handling and controlling my household environment. But once we step outside of this household, there's no way of preventing that trauma from happening. And I'm going to use this example of in the beginning of COVID, I was pulled over for doing 25. That's the regular speed limit. Pulled over, taken out the car, slammed up with my kids in the car, and taken to the precinct. Right? I couldn't control that environment, so I had to come home and have this conversation with my son about what's going on in society and how he would have to interact with the police. And that's just like, that's outside of the household, so we can't prevent that. And your kids are bound to leave you and interact in society. At 5, they go to school, and once they start interacting with society, they should know how to interact with society and how society views them.
Sorry to hear that, man.
So I don't want you to be sorry, because we made it through. We made it through that. So I'm just trying to educate. That's the main thing. And I'm not sure if you are sorry. I'm not sure if you are a father to a son, but it was really hard for me to have that conversation with my son. I felt like a coward. I felt like all my power was taken away as a man. And I had to have this conversation with my son, like, oh, when you interact with the police, just do what they say because this, and this can happen. And it felt like all my power was taken away.
You want to weigh in on that, Arn? See a Morris man?
That's funny. Well, it's deep. Shit is deep, bro. Dealing with that type of situation as being that, like what Rashid just said, I've been through that many times with my kids in the car. And so now I teach them I teach them this, man. Police come around, be scared. Basically, police. There is no. Yo, when an officer comes around, I'm supposed to. Now I feel protected or whatever. No, you black, nigga. When that cop come around, you better be nervous. You better be scared. Be on your P's and Q's. Because his roll call when he goes to his, or when he puts on that uniform, his roll call today is do whatever you got to do to them black motherfuckers. You get what I'm saying? So I tell my kids to be scared. No, I'm not. You can't take them away from that kind of. You think because you're moving certain places or you showing them a different thing, you can't. Because like he said, when they go outside, they're subjected to all that. You get what I'm saying? So now you thinking you're going to hide that from them or you don't want to talk to them about this thing. No, and then they get knocked upside their head. They don't know about the reason why they got knocked upside their goddamn head. Because they black. I just went totally left, right? I just sound mad, did I?
It's all right.
Yeah.
Nah, bro. Nah, bro.
You're not aggressive, man.
Yeah, man.
You know, yo, both bring up like valid points. You know, and I think the reason why I was asking about the household side, because I know I grew up in a dysfunctional household. I knew there was systemic trauma that was passed on for for the parents in that particular household, even though like one of them wasn't my biological father, or biological parent, but there was trauma that they passed down onto us in that household, so that was like, and when you growing up in that type of environment, of course, when you go outside, it's going to be whole nother ball game. Like the way you act, the way you conduct, the way you handle yourself could be totally different, and you're probably going to be subject yourself to have to experience more trauma because of the trauma you experience. For me to have to grow up in a household where, if I look to the head, the head of the household is a drug addict. The head of the household doesn't even sleep in the same bedroom with my mother. Like, you're not even sleeping in the same bedroom. You're sleeping on a couch in the living room. You're not allowed over here because you somewhat of a functioning drug addict, but you are still a drug addict, and whatever other things he had tied, like, how, sometimes black men get blamed for having a dirty dick or whatever in the case, what type of things going on for whatever reasons, it might have been some promiscuous behavior that might have been attached to, like, that person being, on drugs or whatever. But nevertheless, it's like that. I grew up in that type of environment. Like, I grew up in an environment where, like, my older sister, was doing whatever she did and caused our apartment to be raided. And then that was the talk of the projects. Oh, they ready? What's going on? But it's just like these various different circumstances where I never, like, I didn't know what the example was of a functioning household unless I probably looked at something on TV, and see what that representation of a possibility of a functioning household. But the main thing about that too is that the single parenting that's happening, that is another thing that, like, when I think about that question and how, like, that presents a lot of challenges as well. It's like, you don't have someone there from both sides that's leading by example to show their child how they can grow and be mindful of both sides and how they can learn to actually develop an overall better level of respect from themselves if they have those examples that are present in the household. So, that's what I would like to hear more from you fellas on, just about that particular question.
I just wanted to weigh in real quick because I think it's twofold, right? So, like, Rasheen, not to mean like your experience, but I think yours, what you're saying, is like more from a more individualistic, mindset in regards to trauma itself. Now, in regards to us as trauma as Black people, as a people, that's where the systemic racism and oppression and all those things come in, to which it was passed down from us, from our ancestors, from slavery. So, like, when you have a child whatever the case may be. And I know like some women deal with like postpartum depression and whatnot, having a child, or like even if their whole pregnancy, they were stressed or whatever it is that they were going through, that's passed down to the child at some point to where they start exhibiting the same symptoms later on in their childhood. So certain things like that, to your question as far as can we avoid the trauma? No, because it's going to be passed down to us biologically unless there is something that, there's changes in our lives that we make, to break the generational, whether it's generational poverty, anything, anything that's happening in our own households. But then when you look at these systems to which drugs are introduced into the communities, the only way, as far as like being able to even survive or have a means to provide for your family, or young men, who are raised by single mothers, now you have to take on that ownership. The only way is a matter of, okay, how you going to put food on the table, especially if you have younger siblings, so you're going to look to the streets because that's what you see. But you got to think about like, how did that drugs even get into the community? Then you have certain circumstances to which you think about like, welfare, all these other different systems, just to keep us down as a people. And that's stuff that, yes, people may have choices, but you got to understand like it's like a long-term plan to which it was, created in order to put us in these funny predicaments. For example, like with the whole 3 strikes rule, I don't know if y'all remember that, the Netflix special when it went over that in regards to like the Clintons, signing that into,
talk about the 13th.
Yes. Just like how in itself, that created a lot of single parent households. You know what I'm saying? And in that, and mind you, it was like for small misdemeanor offenses to where it's like if that was like your 3rd time or your 3rd strike, if you were like on probation or whatever the case may be, you were doing football numbers in jail for nothing, for no reason, just because of this particular policy to which it created that. Then you got to think of what's that movie with James Earl Jones,
Codeine.
When you think about systems like that, you living in in housing, only a certain number of people could live there, and you can only make but such a certain amount of money. And if you make above that, then you're in danger of losing your apartment. You don't make enough to live in the Hamptons, but you damn sure you make too much to even live in something into necessary housing. And for me, like, these are systems that I'm saying that's in place to which if you can't escape. You can't escape unless like it's a matter of like you create a life for yourself to which is profitable, so you become more affluent and you create some level of success to where like you can avoid these systems and hopefully teach your kids different and put them in different. But at the same time, as Rashad mentioned, when you go outside, it's a whole different ball game. You know what I'm saying? No matter how much money you have, no matter where you live at, where you lay your head at, when you step outside, all bets are off. And I think that in itself, like I said, it was a plan that was definitely set in place long ago when they decided to eradicate slavery and Jim Crow and everything. There was a set forth plan. And not to mention, like, I don't know if y'all have Hulu, but I actually watched, there was a special where they were talking about the march that recently took place last month in Washington, 53, I think it was about maybe a good 5 decades or so since Martin Luther King did it when he delivered his speech and whatnot. And to think that all those people, there was a lot of people that was as young as like 16. I think John Lewis was like maybe 16, 17 at that time, when he participated in that march and even took on the leadership. Mind you, they didn't think Martin King was going to show up or it was something, but John Lewis, he got up there and he delivered a speech, and there was a portion of his speech to which they had to tell him, like, he had to take out and whatnot. But I say that to all to say that that's what everybody was fighting for, young and old. Today, everybody's just trying to survive. Nobody is, for us as a people, we're not necessarily on the same page about a lot of things. And that's why the inescapable trauma, we mask it with monetary things. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why we look to athletes. That's why we look to actors and whatnot, to which they don't live necessarily in certain environments to where people have to face this shit every day. But ultimately, at the end of the day, your money doesn't hide the fact that you're black. You're black in America, and that comes with a lot of defaults. That comes with a lot of dangers. Ultimately, you know, I just you know, I don't know any other word to put it because, you know, just like to hear y'all even experiencing that, you know, in front of you know, especially in front of y'all children, that says a lot. Especially as black men and trying to raise other black, other black men. You know, there's no escaping that. There's no escaping that. You would think that this is something that would stop at like maybe Rodney King or some shit. It didn't. And it's going to keep happening. There's a whole bunch of things that's just going to keep happening. So to answer your question in short, no, it's inescapable.
Right. I agree. I think systematic trauma, we can't prevent that. I also kind of look at it as like a disease. You know what I'm saying? Like a disease could be spread from one person to the next. I think trauma is that. I mean, I personally experienced that. I mean, my household, come back from like my grandparents and stuff like that. And even to like, you know, here with Saul's situation, he had no control over that. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it's already done. You can't go back on it. So the best thing you could do is, all right, it's already done. How can we deal with this? How can he deliver this message to his son? How could he adjust his lifestyle? Like, how can he adjust his thought process? Because it's already done. You know what I mean? You can't take it back. But unfortunately, a lot of us are not even taught to deal with it or how to deal with it. So therefore, we go to the simple things such as like drugs, alcohol, violence, and so forth. And they get passed on and they get passed on. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in a household, like my grandfather's on crack. Like I'm the little kid playing with crack pipes. You know what I'm saying? To my mother having like an alcohol dependency and like seeing that, it's just like, that's how they deal with their trauma. You know what I mean? Talking about it, therapeutic, that's like not a thing. You got to hold certain stuff in. You got to be, especially as a black male, you got to be tough. So you can't even show emotion. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know Rashad's situation, but he may wanted to cry, but, you know, he couldn't. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, he's not going to cry in front of his son. I got to be tough. But that's like an emotional situation. Yeah, like, you got to hold it down. But on the inside, he could have been, like, furious and ready to break down. Who knows? But as a black man, we're not even taught to show that. Like, so I think it's the most important. To double back answer your question, no. But I think the most important thing is just learning how to deal with these traumas. That's the main thing.
So that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, to me, and what was the question? Can it be reduced or can it be stopped?
Like, can it be prevented?
Yeah, he said prevented.
Nah. I don't think it can be prevented, and not just with us, just in general, right? But I just think that it's how you deal with it. Like, you know, I think a lot of people, especially in the black community, get thought to, like, you know, especially as black men, you gotta, you know, like, I remember growing up, my dad, so I was a single parent, but, you know, if you're talking on the phone or whatever, he'd be like, what are you crying for? Like, crying not gonna solve nothing. Like, so all these things is black. Like, so I remember, like, crying in front of him or crying, you damn sure ain't doing it because you have been a man up, right? And not saying that, you know, there wasn't truth to it. I mean, like, especially as a man, you're a protector, you got to handle your business. I understand that. But I feel like just people don't know how to deal with trauma. We all know about, like, Charlamagne the God. That dude be, like, talking about mental health like nobody's business for the last year or two, right? And I'm sure clearly he's to promote his book and all that. Cool, I get it. But part of what he's talking about is real stuff where he's saying, like, black people don't know how to deal with it. And I remember he put a link that Jay-Z had where he's talking to somebody in an interview, and he's like, you have these people acting certain ways in the hood in the projects, and it's like, yo, it's because of what they created, the system that we were, you know, we're afraid, we're taught to survive, we're in a box, you put all those people together, dog-eat-dog mentality, that's trauma. What do you think, how they're going to act because of that situation that they were forced in? right? And yet they're not dealing with it. And the only way they're dealing with it is survival. And no one's teaching them. No one's showing, oh, you got a better way, right? Because clearly they don't want us to find a better way. It's all intentional, right? That's the game. So I think to what you said, it's how you deal with it. And Rashad, you mentioned like when you go outside. To me, that's I'm not a parent, but you know, you get older and you talk to your folks and you understand things now you didn't understand when you were a young boy. You didn't understand when you were a teen. Now it all makes sense. I'll be like, yo, mom, my bad, dad, my bad, because it all makes sense now. And they be saying where you to your point, when they go outside, all fair game. You can't control that. What you can control is that you hoping that the values that you instill in your children, that they take that, right? Because it's natural. They're supposed to leave the nest. They're supposed to go forward. But you just hoping what you instilled in them, they uphold that and they carry themselves, and then obviously, hopefully their kids, and they pass that generation on to generation. So I think the question is, or the goal should be more like, how do we deal with it? Not only individually, I think CP Charles was making that point, individually, how do we deal with it? But also like systematically, like as a macro level, yo, how do we deal with this stuff? Like, you know, go ahead, CP.
No, but you know, I was just gonna say, like, you know, and I hear you, you know, and I think that the whole thing that really not so much as far as like your statement, not saying like, you know, I'm coming at your statement, but just like when I'm just thinking about it as far as like, you know, what we're looking to teach our kids, you know, hoping they do better. And the thing is that I just reference back to like what Marlon and Rashad was saying as far as like talking to their sons, talking to their kids about the situation like that. There's no standard easy answer as far as like to even address that particular situation. And that's just one particular situation to which being profiled and being pulled over by the police. What about when you get in front of a judge? What about the whole idea about even copping to a plea to some shit that you didn't even do? Because your legal way, because your public defender don't even want to do the legwork to necessarily defend you, or you don't have the money to even combat the system like you need to preserve your rights to freedom. You know, and the thing is, what pisses me off is the fact of the matter is that the question comes back to what can we do to address the trauma? What can we do to unravel what society has to? Why does it have to be put on us? You know what I'm saying? The Jews got reparations, Asians got reparations. What about us? The thing is that what we're forced to do, to navigate all these situations and to keep adapting, assimilating, pretending, you know, all these different things, but don't shit get better. But don't nothing get better. And the fact of the matter is for us as Black men, the reason why we have to try to stay strong and to keep our bodies is just to continue to fight when our kids won't be able to fight, and we want to be able to protect them forever. And the fact of the matter is that knowing that we can't, that's debilitating in itself. And it makes you lose even the slightest bit of trust in this system or in this America, to which it doesn't love us, and it's telling us that it's damn sure not going to love us, you know, long after we're gone. And I think like that's what I said. Like there is no fixing this shit. It's on them. They need to fix this shit. They need to fix this.
Exactly. When they say the system is not for us, they're conditioning us. This is what they do. Like with that officer, when that officer pulled us over, and they look inside. They're trained to see a whole bunch of. They see the kids is in the car. They see your wife in the car. They see us, and they see that in the car. So by them pulling me out and pulling you out the car, what they're doing is conditioning. They trying to show our son is that this is how you are going to be treated as a Black man. That's what they're doing, man. So all this shit is what they're doing every day. That's why it can't be prevented, because what they're doing is training. They're conditioning us to this is how we're supposed to do it, or this is what's going to happen. It's not going to change. It's never going to change. You know what I'm saying? Like I when our kids is in the car, because when they grow up, it's going to happen again. They're going to be in the car with their kids, and because their kids don't know nothing about that cops. Remember, when you're growing up, you don't know too much about police. Now, their kids don't know about those cops, and those cops are going to pull their father out in front of them and slam him up against the car because he was doing nothing, because he was driving the car. So it's conditioning for us to say, oh, then we can't do nothing. And just like housing. You got to make a certain amount of money to be in, and then you make $1 over, you can't live there. So you got to be poor to be in there. A little bit. You got to be able to make a little bit of money just to get qualified, and got to have a whole bunch of qualifications to get in. But if you make too much, $1 over, you can't be in there. So now you're in the street because you can't afford another apartment. So where that's gonna go? Where you gonna go now? You see what I'm saying? That's what they're doing. It's not gonna be prevented. You're gonna always be dealing with trauma. You're gonna always be going through that, man. We're gonna be going through it. Now, what I'm trying to do is show my kids and try to tell them, yeah, you don't have to go left to try to numb it, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to numb this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to let them, you don't have to go this way to numb it. Just don't let it affect you as much as it affected me. That's what I'm trying to show them. Don't when you walk down the street and you see this person just out of the blue, just staring at you like you're an animal or something, or a cop do whatever they do, or the society, the news do whatever they doing. Don't let that bother you where you can't sleep at night, or where you feel like you got to pick up a bottle and drink, or you got to go to the drugs just to numb the pain. Nah, come and talk to me. Come to talk to your brother and sister, let them know how you feel, or move yourself out of that situation. But as far as like we were saying, preventing it, good luck.
That's a dub.
Yeah, good luck with that. They're conditioning us, man. That's what they're doing, man. It is what it is. Dealing with reality, they're conditioning us. Man, I'm telling you, they're showing us every day. Like when we do get ahead, this happens. It always happens. If we do get, like we look like we starting to plant our feet, they go and murder something to let us know. Listen, we run this shit. This is what we do. That's what they do. It is what it is, man. People could say what they want to say. That's what it is, man. There's no preventing, man. And now, like you said, how you try to deal with it, you got to deal with it the best way you can. If you know what I'm saying. But they're conditioning us, bro.
And I think okay.
No, go ahead, Rashad. I'll go after you.
No, I was just gonna say, like he's right, and I think the best thing that we could do is, instead of trying to hide it and protect our kids from it, we have to expose it, speak on it, and educate our kids about what's going on. Because I felt like, you know, my parents, they did a great job protecting, but I'm not even gonna say once I was 18, once I was 5'9", 200 pounds at 14, I was a threat, and nobody had that talk with me.
Yep.
Yeah, what I was gonna say, because I don't know why this seems to be the case. It's just such a individualistic approach, and I really see like it's very big in terms of Black people, where it's always like everybody's out for themselves. But when it comes to unity, we don't know how to actually bring that together and bring that home. Because if we're responding to a system, the thing that will combat a system is another system. And that system can actually be created through unity, which has always seemed like it's one of the hardest things for us to be able to do. I literally remember, once again, and Marlon knows this, you know, we try to put together a team of individuals where we can all make money together legally. And that was prevented by all these other individualistic ideologies, thought processes, or whatever the hell was going on with these individuals. We couldn't come together. But it's like I see that on just a regular, everyday basis, where that presents so many challenges, where people feel like ultimately hopeless. And then they say things like, that's never going to happen. This is never going to be the case, because, you know, that is like, I feel like that is a good starting point, where it's just like, there's no unity, you know, for us to be able to come together with better systems and a better approach to respond to the system that's been oppressing us for years, and probably for all of us, probably all of our lives, you know? So it's just like I feel like that's something like, even if that may not even come to light or whatever while I'm still here on this earth, but it's like if Black people could get to that place where there's definitely a better show of unity, you know, and understanding of how they need to combat a system with a system, you know, I think that could be huge in terms of setting up a better pathway of success for Black people, period, in America.
Honestly, I think I don't really think unity is like the problem. I think I think motivation is the issue. You know what I mean?
Nah.
Because I feel like, cause think about it. Like you say, unity. If you be like, yo, let's go link up and let's go half on the bottle, or let's go to the strip club, or we pulling
He
up.
said half on the bottle.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, let's hit the block. Let's do this. We are pulling up. Like, there's unity coming up. That's unity. Like, we'll pull up for that. Oh, we're going to watch the game. We're going to do that. We're going to pull up for that. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to certain things, we'll pull up for it. So, I don't think that's the issue. Like, we could come together, but it's just
that's unity for
the motivation.
No.
Yeah, pretty much. But like,
I think it's both. I think it's both. I think there's a lot of people in our community we don't come together. Forget you talk about the motivation to do something. 100% agree. There's a lot of people who don't even come together. Oh, let's split on the bottle. Like you made that example. They don't even want to do that, right? So and some people have the money to do that and split whatever way you want to. So I feel like the unity, I think it's both, because I think there's a lot of people who don't even want to come together. Like, so meaning we talk about all this, talk about all the fun, and dudes be actually, if you think about it, they have to your point with the motivation front, they have motivation to do a whole bunch of other stuff, but they don't have a motivation to empower each other. Because I think to Rashad's point, he mentioned like Jews and Asians, and this is the point I keep making. And I feel like you saw Pharrell and Jay-Z had that entrepreneur video they had out, where they had a video about like successful Black people, where they're trying to, in essence, try to motivate people. That's what I got from it. I feel like, yeah, I get the oppression, I get the system, I get exactly what's done to us, and it was intentional, and they know what they did. So the entire Western society and all the blocks, or the foundational blocks, were built on the backs of, right? You know, so I know what it is. But my point is, I feel that we need to ensure that we can we have that motivation ourselves to come forward and do better and empower ourselves. Say, okay, for example, for this podcast,
hold on. Like, I'll stop you. I gotta stop you right there as far as like us doing that, as far as like the do better part, because I'm gonna tell you right now. Again, I'll speak to that, and then I'll get back to in regards to like, you know, the whole idea about unity, because the thing is that you can't speak towards your immediate circle for those individuals that's in your network and your immediate circle. If they fucked up and they don't want to get money in a way or come together to do something, that's on them. You know what I'm saying? That's just a matter of, you know, okay, I just got to look at the people around me. Or I got to change the people around me based off of my new knowledge and my own thinking, to which goes to Clee's point as far as finding people with a similar motivation to you. Now, as far as in regards to doing better, I'll never forget, my credit score was at a 710. Me and my wife was looking for a house. The only bank, all the banks, the only thing that what they were willing to give was no more than $250,000 of a loan to get a house. Now, you go through all these different, you know, and mind you, it was a matter of, okay, your credit score is a 710 based off of this particular, you know, credit system, whatever the case may be, but we have to look at these other three scores. And we have to go back and to think about the whole idea about redlining, to where people of minorities are allowed to only be in certain areas and certain places, and you're deemed to which it's either one or two things is happening in that area. The area is probably dilapidated, and they just want to, you know, or just a lot of white people are moving out, and they just want to get that area out. They just want to get other people in there, just whatever, just make their return back or whatever the case, build up that real estate, just build up that area. But that's just what you're limited to. And the thing is that I can't combat against an algorithm. You know what I'm saying? I can't combat against an algorithm of when you put my name in, you put all my information in, and then this is what it returns to you.
Charles?
I don't know what happened, Charles, but I'm gonna just speak to the point, because Charles.
Yeah, he might have. I think where he was at might have lost reception or something like that.
I feel like he was
back in a second.
And I was waiting. I wanted to hear what he had to say. Anyway, go ahead, Rashad.
I smoke for him too. Now let me stop. Go ahead.
No, honestly, yo, bro. What?
Go ahead,
Rashad.
I agree with both of you guys, right? However, when we come and talk about unity, we got to face the harsh reality that we can't take everybody with us. We just cannot. Actually said, you got to be motivated. If you're not motivated about the same thing that I'm motivated about, then go about your business. Why would I even on the team.
Just on a quick point, I agree with you. You don't kind of feel sometimes like you want to.
Although, yeah, you can want to all you want, but if you look like I look at them like cancers. If you put this person on the team, that is a cancer to your team, and you're gonna go down. We cannot unite with that person. And it's not like
that's fair.
It's not like I don't want to unite with you, but you are not at the point where I need you to be ready for the mission. Like you like Cleve would say, you still want to go half on the bottle and go to the strip club. I'm talking about investing in stock and getting property. We're not on the same level. We can't bring everybody with us. Like for example, it was a group of 19 people just brought a whole community in Georgia. You thought they didn't take everybody with them. It was 19. They united, they came together, and now they have a black-owned community in Georgia. They didn't take everybody with them, and that's what we have to look at. Although we want to unite, we have to realize that everybody cannot come with us.
I agree.
That's a harsh reality you said there, man.
That's a fact. Wow. I like that analogy too with the cancer joint. Because I look at it like the same form with like gangrene. You know what I'm saying? Like say you got gangrene in your foot. And it's like, yo, if you don't cut your foot off, this shit gonna spread to the rest of your body. Some people like, I don't want to cut my foot. Like I'm chopping my shit off. Wow, fuck that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna spread. So that's a valid point.
You gotta park up, Charles.
Especially if you want to get smoky.
Is Charles, you there?
Video.
He's buffering.
He buffering.
My man riding dirt. You know you can't ride and Zoom at the same time. It's against the law.
Hey, you're already riding while black.
Word, man.
No, but I like the thing that like I do appreciate y'all providing this insight on the viewpoint, especially regarding unity. And like, I'm definitely for the fact that, okay, let's just say if it's just 19 individuals, all right? Did what they needed to do, their minds was right, and that made their business right, and they pursue whatever they pursue. But at the end of the day, we're going against a nation for the most part. You know, it's not like, okay, you know, even if you got this business venture, that's one thing. But there's other things where it's like, okay, you know, like let's just use the hood, where there should probably be quadruple black business with all these hip hop artists and athletes and all these people who made it out the hood. That should have like brought more black business into the hood, you know, but you know, in most cases, that's not the case. You know, that's not the example that's set. You know, I feel like there's just a certain level of access that's prevented for black people because there's still so much of a disconnect in terms of being willing to like build out with more black people. You know,
it's because they're institutionalized. They've been conditioned. There's too many conditioned people out here. That's why.
He's right.
Charles, you can hear us? You on the phone, right? You can hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all just fine. Sorry about that. The area I'm in, I guess, like in its own video, it's making everything real laggy. So, I'm just.
But it's better now.
Huh?
But you can hear us and you can talk better now, right?
Yeah, I can hear and talk better and everything. Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
Rashard, you were saying something? We'll get back to you in a second, Charles. Rashard, you were saying something?
I got thrown off. Let's just continue.
No, because I said he was responding to when I said because there's a lot more people that are institutionalized or conditioned, so they're not with the movement. So that's why it's hard to deal with unity. A lot of people you can't take a lot of people.
But that's in a problem in itself. To me,
yeah.
That's the problem in itself. Because I'll be honest, if you talk to people who like the Jew, again, Rashard, you mentioned Jewish people. If you talk to them, and you Asian people, like I was talking to my pops, and I'm like, yo, Dad, you know what? Like, what's the black neighborhood in like New York City? Yeah, like I see Asians got Chinatown. I see Italians got like Little Italy and places in Queens. I see the Jewish community, they got like a community and you see like everybody over there, like Crown Heights, like a lot of Jewish people in certain parts of Brooklyn, right? They got Russians in certain areas. I'm like, yo, was it Harlem back in the day? Like, was that it? Because I'm like, I don't see it.
And like to add to what you were saying in regards to like the different races being put in different positions, I think as Black people, especially as Black men, despite the odds that's against us, I'm not saying this is going to solve the issue, but I think it could definitely help like mitigate the issue, and it won't happen in a short period of time. Over time, we have to instill these values in ourselves and like our kids or people under us, whether you don't have any kids, nieces, nephews, etc. We have to put ourselves in these positions and also build a network, a stronger network. And this is what these other races did. When we talk about Jewish, they wasn't always at the high end of the hierarchy.
They're still not there.
They still not
but
there.
They're still not there, but they definitely higher than where they were.
Yeah, because they put themselves in that position. Who's these lawyers? Who's these judges? Who is running the Hollywood? You know what I'm saying?
People.
Yeah, you're talking about Asians. Who's running these tech companies? Who's doing this? They put themselves in that position or got the connections. Like even for us right now, like 6 Black men on the phone, I don't know y'all connections, but even including myself, can we go in our call log and contact a judge?
The one that locked me up. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That goes
you know what I'm saying? Like
dramatic oppression. And that's why we can't do that, because all those other races, right? They were given a one-up. Like the Jewish got, like you said, the Jewish people got their reparations, Asians got their reparations. That was a one-up. We didn't get nothing. We just had people in our community who fought against everything that they were going through, but we didn't get no head start or leg up or anything like that.
Sure.
I'm not sure if like your grandparents or anyone like that had something to set you up and put you in position. But those Jewish people and them Asian people, they were set up to be put in position. But my grandfather, like my father, was absolutely nothing but a block to sell weed on.
I agree, man. But that connection shit is like, it's like for real. Like even like your situation, like Rashad, right? Like after you told me that story, I'm like, yo, this shit is crazy. And like I'm not in the best position in my life where I could like make a super duper power move to get shit, you know what I'm saying, fixed up. But I was like, let me do a little thinking. Let me tap into my resources. And I was able to assist you. So if this event was to happen in the future, it won't be as harsh as it was. And it happened, right? Like,
my boy Clee, I told him I got pulled over. My boy Clee came through with the PPA card, right? And for that same incident that I got pulled over for, there was a computer error glitch. That's what they called it. But it was a warrant issued for my arrest when the court systems was closed.
Wow.
Error in the computer glitch. And I'm like, as a Black man, we can't deal with no errors in the computer glitch. Because now I'm driving around with a warrant because of an error in the computer glitch. But Clee worked his way. He worked his magic, got me a PPA card. The officer was nice, told me, yo, you got a warrant. Go and fix it. I went to the Bronx Criminal Court, and the lady was like, there was an error in the computer system. I went off on her. I'm like, an error? I could have been killed for an error. Like, we can't have these errors.
Yeah, and like I said, like even something simple as like a PPA card, it's like it's some type of connection I had. I was like, nah, let me help him out the best way I can. But imagine if all of us on that type of time, you know what I'm saying? Where some shit go left, yo, I know my man's or my homeboy or my homegirl, she the judge for fucking the Bronx District Court. I don't know, like, or you know what I mean? Saying that's how they get up there.
Because everybody else do it.
Yeah, everybody else do it. And we don't
everybody
have
else
that.
do it. They
And
talk
we
about
don't.
you guys heard about, when they talk about what's it called when you go to college and they like bring in Black people and there's a term they call for school, like when you kind of yeah. You know what's crazy? That's why I don't. All that stuff is to the point you were making more about conditioning and you do you like if you realize and you talk to anybody, whether it be Ivy League or whether it be target schools as they call it, or any other, they be doing that the most. Yeah. You look and you go in a classroom. Michelle Obama had a documentary on it as well too. You go in a classroom and you ask all of them how they got there. Oh, my father, he put in $1 million. So,
nepotism.
They do that to the max. And you realize, and when you really check it, be like, hold up, how qualified are you guys really? But you guys knocking. Is that the case? But when they say affirmative action, we actually are like, how qualified are you really if you guys doing it on a grander scale? So it's all a game, and it's all conditioned to make you think XYZ, but in reality, they're rigging it. And it's proven, like, this is out there. So it's just stuff like that where it's like, I 100% agree with you, Quee, with maybe it will not help. And I'll be honest, like, Rashad, you mentioned, I think the 18 or 19 people in Georgia. I was proud of that, man. I sent that to a group of my friends, and I remember he was like, yo, this is what I always wanted to do.
They sent that
working towards it. My bad, Rasheem. My bad, Rasheem. My bad. And I remember, and this is the conditioning, and to the point about being scared. I saw that, and I was happy for like 5-10 minutes, and then I had a 2-minute like piece of like being scared, because I remember I was like, hold up, ain't this happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Right.
Didn't we have Black Wall Street? Didn't we do this? To the point about that we every time we got it, we figure it out for whatever reason. They do something to be like, nope, you're not gonna come out of this. So a part of me, I ain't gonna front. A part of me was like, why did they make this public? I ain't gonna even front. I'm being honest. I was like, why did they make this? And I saw another article where they talking about a reality TV deal for them. I was like, why are you making this public? Because they gonna realize what's going on, and they gonna shut it down. I'm just being honest. Even though I'm happy, a part of me was like, shit. This shit, they gonna find some way to bring this down. Because this is what we talking about. This is what we want. This is what we need to do.
Because it's not enough of us. You know what I'm saying? If it's way more than us, all right, shut one down. We still gonna keep coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we just have to have more of this shit.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's 19. You don't think the 19 going to inspire somebody else? Yeah. You don't think that person going to inspire like a ripple effect? And to your point, as soon as it gets to more, that's what I'm scared about. Just being honest. And that sucks. Like, if I think about that, that's bullshit. That's crazy. Shit is crazy, man. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. No. So I'm just gonna go back into like the whole idea in regards to like the unity portion. I kind of lost my train of thought before, but in regards to like the unity, I think it's a couple of things. The one, I think it's just a matter of really defining again what blackness is. You know what I'm saying? Because I for me personally, I remember calling a time to where it's like, you know, sometimes black people, you know, run away from their blackness. You know, the black people will discuss every other ethnic race that they are, you know, in their genealogy, whatever the case may be. They sure can't see. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a matter of to distinguish, you know, as far as like how you're different than the quote unquote 100% pure black person, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about other communities, like you mentioned. You don't go up to an Asian person and say that they're not Asian. I mean, obviously there's a distinction between being Japanese, Chinese, you know, Korean and whatnot. But outside of that, they're Asian. Same with the Jews. They're not running away from. And mind you, Jewish is not even a race. But the way you think of it is, you would think that it's a race. The way that they claim it, you know, and that's something that they don't run away from. There's no differentiating or straying away from that. Whereas us as black people, we would say everything outside of what we are to run away from that, from our blackness. So I think that that's one to which the unity, how we would have to address that. Because I feel like that's just like an insecurity in itself, and it's sort of like using whatever, I guess, social equity that we can, as far as we're saying, okay, we're not just this, hoping that will afford us, you know, to be able to be around certain people, to establish certain relationships, to which we can only be focusing on establishing our own within our own.
despite what happened in Tulsa, despite what happened in like Black Wall Street and everything, I think this is trying to get back to this to continue to keep doing that again, because now imagine us creating our own Black community where we had our own dollars and everything, our economy within a vacuum. I mean, they could try to do certain things like that again, as far as like, you know, sending the Coast Guard, you know, the police, you know, to burn and pillage and do all that. I don't think it'll go down like it did back then. Another thing is, I think that also too, I think the main thing is just a matter of protecting our Black women. I think like I think that the thing is that because in the war, you gotta understand, and war is more than just more than just killing your men. You know what I'm saying? It's slaughtering your babies, it's raping your women, taking your women and you know, conceiving with them and then killing them afterwards. You know, just destroying your lineage. You know, destroying you know, and that's something that's been practiced, you know, from way back. You know, between tribes and everything. You know, and the thing is that I don't know if y'all have seen this. Been watching the show Lovecraft Country on HBO. But I was, you know, and that the episode that just aired this past Sunday, there's a female, Black female. She has this potion to where she's able to be white, you know, for a short period of time or whatever the case may be. And she mentioned as far as feeling protected, for people feeling concerned about her, you know, and this is her as a white woman. So where you know, mind you, she was in a Black neighborhood. She woke up in a Black neighborhood, and she was like, you know, people were looking at her like, you know, they were concerned, like, hey, are you okay? So whereas if she was a Black woman in a white neighborhood, she would have been treated with everything other than care. You know what I'm saying? And for us as Black men, as Black people, we don't do that so much when it comes to preserving the safety of our Black women. And I think like that in itself, you know, is a problem. You know, to which that's how we have to establish the lines for ourselves. Because you gotta understand, for us as Black people, when you think about every other race, like we mentioned, like, you know, as far as like the Jews, and just getting their reparations, the only thing that we've been fighting for is just to be included. Now we're included, but we're still not equal. That's a problem. So that's why, you know, like when we think about like, oh, why things has not gone, you know, things has really progressed, is because all we have fought for is just to be in the same room with people that don't look like us. But yet we don't recognize as far as like all these other ingrained systems to keep us separate. I don't give a damn, you know, and the thing is, it's just white people telling us, I don't give a damn if you're in the same room with me. I can just walk out the room. I don't have to be away from you. But I know that we not the same. I know we don't live in the same places. We don't frequent the same places. We're not going to get the same treatment. And definitely, my women are not going to get the same treatment. Think about, like, how, for example, like with this whole Megan Thee Stallion situation. And I remember me, Simba, and Machine, we were talking about this. And apparently Kylie Jenner was there. Imagine if Kylie Jenner would have got shot in the foot. Imagine if she was assaulted at all by Tory Lanez. Everybody would be up in arms, and this man would be in cuffs today. The fact that he did this to a Black woman, it was a joke. It was a meme. And it's a matter of she has to, and still, through all that, through her being injured and still her being hurt, she still has to protect him. That's a problem.
Then she also had to defend herself because we didn't believe her.
Say again?
She also had to defend herself because we did not believe her.
She had to defend herself, and the thing is that she still has to defend herself and protect herself because her career could be taken away, and her social currency could be taken away because she did not protect this man who assaulted her. Whereas if Kylie Jenner would have went to the cops, it would have been like, oh, this poor woman, oh, we got to stop acting like animals. I guarantee you there would have been a whole bunch of brothers out there talking about, we got to stop acting like animals.
It's conditioning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You're shaking your head. Yeah, you're 100% right with that word, man. 100%.
You know what I'm saying? That's where the unity comes in. It comes in, one, how we look at each other, two, how we protect each other, not just men, but just women and children alike. That's where it really comes in. And until the world sees that, okay, damn, they're a fortified front. There's no penetrating into this. It's always going to be more or less the same and coming back to the same conversations.
That's my point. Got to hold the line. You establish the line, you got to hold it. And at the end of the day, if because you're all speaking to it. And that's why I was saying, like, and then, like, I don't know if that's something that can be developed or created. But I feel one thing that I'm optimistic about the direction where we seem to be heading towards is that there's definitely more cultural awareness to the plight. For some people, because they probably was like never even exposed to this or was just ignoring this all their life. And it's like, you know, hey, blame it on the pandemic or what, but it's like, now this shit is right in your face. These black issues are right in your face. You know, can't really avoid what's being put in your face and showed through various means to show you like, okay, these things that you have to look at. Whether or not you pay attention to it, you still have to look at it. You have to glance at it, whatever the case. And I just feel like we're on somewhat of a better path and bringing more awareness to people about Black excellence, you know, the plights of Black people, you know, these various examples I feel are being magnified at this stage.
Agreed. You know what I was going to add? And it goes to the motivation point. Just to doing your part. So, for example, supporting Black businesses. So when I go on, if I want to get breakfast right now, I'm going by a Black-owned cafe or coffee spot.
That's how Jews do it.
100. Yep, exactly.
That's how Asians do it.
When I'm going to buy my groceries now, and me and my dad were talking about this, he was like, "Why didn't you go by the Haitian spot, the Black woman and the man?" Right? We see all of the Korean stores, a bunch of Black people going, no Black people working there. It's just either Hispanics or the Asians. And you have a store right next door with a Haitian Caribbean woman, and it damn near got 2-3 people in there. And the line, about 2-3 lines long in the Korean store, and they're not even supporting your own people. So it goes to the conditioning point, clearly, and it goes to the motivation point, like where you talk about awareness regime. Like, we got to do better. So me personally, I'm trying to do my part where, you know what, if I'm trying to buy something, so like when I'm buying my food, if I'm going to the Caribbean spot, I'm going to the Black owned. If they're not Black owned, and I'm in a situation where that's not possible, at least let me see some Black representation in the staff. So I'm trying to do my own, even in a small way, to ensure to recondition myself to be like, nah, I'm good. Let me go and buy elsewhere and support my people.
I respect that. I wanna get y'all like a opinion on this, like this thought process. I used to hear that shit all the time too, like, you know, support Black businesses. And I was like, you know, I think like a year ago, I came to the realization, I was just like, you know, that's a good start, but that shit ain't it neither. Because if you look at the chain of like production, it really doesn't mean much until we become a part of that chain. So for example, if I say, you know, let me support a Black business, right? Let me support a Black restaurant. Okay. So the initial step of that chain, I'm giving my dollars to the Black restaurant. But it's like, do we own the products that they're using to make the food? You get what I'm saying? And then
I agree with you. You're getting at the long game. 100% agree with you. You're getting at the long game. But here's my point with that. To me, it's a 1,000-mile journey begins with one step. And to me, to not only the reconditioning, but to start somewhere, it has to start somewhere. Because a lot of people not even, so forget the owning the whole chain. A lot of people don't even support. You don't even like, so buy somewhere. It's going in the pocket of your own Black brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, people even do that. You're right about the long game. And for example, what's his name? Tyler Perry. You see what he did in Atlanta?
Right. So,
you see what Tyler Perry did in Atlanta? To your point, he's exactly doing what you just said. He owns the whole thing.
And that's a great thing. And I think, like, in addition to saying, yo, we gotta support Black businesses, we also have to put emphasis on that shit too. Like, don't just drop it. We're like, yo, we gotta support Black business. Because the thing about it is, like, also too, like, even with the whole product situation on the chain, it's like, yo, I support Black business, boom. this person decides they want to buy a car. Do we own any fucking car companies? Like, where's the money going back to? Like, if you think about it, like, how long is it staying within a black community? Like, I feel like our turnover rate is like super high compared to other groups. Like, our shit don't stay in the black community long.
Hours, while in other groups is in a matter of weeks and days.
And to be honest with you, I think like that goes into like that's why Tyler Perry did what he did, right? So it's a matter of he don't have to go to anybody. That's why like even with his movies, he don't. Even though like sometimes we come at him about like his movies always having a similar formula or just him, being.
Yeah. We have creative differences, as they say.
Say again?
I said it doesn't matter that we have creative differences like what he portrays, but we understand his business and what he's been doing for black people has been A1, and he's been building that up for years.
Yeah, so the thing is for him as a director, as a producer, the thing is that he don't have to go to any white person or somebody that don't look like him for money to get his movie made. You know what I'm saying? And I think like that's important. Like for example, like yes, we're going to these black restaurants, whatever the case should be, but but do they own that building? Do they own that storefront property? Do they own that commercial property? Because the fact of the matter is, I'm telling you, whenever Welsh or what's the other place? Either way, when they come in and they're ready to uplift or give that whole neighborhood a facelift, they're out. You know what I'm saying? So us putting our money there or making sure that we go there every Friday, you know what I'm saying, to get our food, whatever the case be, is not enough. So to to Cleve's point, it's a matter of how do we monopolize in regards to our business. So if we got that one business and we make sure that we buy that property, make sure we buy that storefront, whatever the case may be, how do we open up another one somewhere else? And the right, you know what I'm saying? And because I'm not gonna lie, and also too, it's you understand for us living up on the north, down south there are a lot of black businesses. There are black businesses that thrive and try to keep the money, contained. But again, it goes to that point as far as like what Cleve mentioned, is like, do we own that property? Do we own that business? Do we even own that product? Which is because even that takes money in itself. And I think that. And what it comes down to, and this whole idea about ownership, is a matter of cutting the white person out, or that bank out, to where we don't need the money. We keep this money in a vacuum. If my brother comes to me and says, "Okay, I want to open up this business. You owe me $50,000." You know what I'm saying? And not that you're gonna do on any shiesty shit, but it's like if I have a business, if I have all these different things, and besides, me loaning this money as a business, then he can only thrive and do what he can with that money. And I think like that's the difference between like a lot of business, like a lot of other races in regards to like how they choose to conduct their business and keep their keep that money in a vacuum and within their community and thrive in itself. So I definitely think that's a good point in regards to like what it means necessarily to support a black business, because it's more than just eating at a restaurant. And also too, you gotta understand too, like even Caribbean people, Caribbean American, they even doing good as far as like creating a business. Because I know this is a spot out in Queens to where it's full of Trinidadian restaurants. It may not be to which it's like a 30-block radius, but yeah. I'm telling you right now, like the cars be lined up. Like you wouldn't even, you would just like I'm not even gonna go down that block because not even a bus could fit through there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm assuming like they've been there for a while. And it's like they probably bought up the property. So them as a family put all this money in, made some sacrifices, and bought the property to where it's like, okay, if we decide to sell the business, we could do that. If we decide to sell this property to any commercial real estate investors that want to come buy this, we could do that, and then we could open up somewhere else. So whereas them just kicking us out, and then we like, okay, we got to start from square one again.
Agreed. I just think like the awareness, you got to start from. And I would rather, until I have the end-to-end model of the distribution and I own everything, I'd rather make sure that when I'm putting the money that I'm using, that I'm giving it back to someone that's all I'm saying. But you're right. You and Cleve right.
That can maybe down the line.
Exactly.
Buy that property.
Exactly.
Because you support them and you can give them that bread.
Exactly. It starts somewhere.
Yeah, and I think we moving towards that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, imagine I want to open up like a breakfast spot. I'm selling pancakes. Boom, I'm selling pancakes, but my pancakes is made with Master P pancake mix. You know what I'm saying? Like, we moving there. You feel me? We moving there.
We gotta. All right. I'm gonna start my phone tomorrow.
That's funny you said that, man.
I love you fellas. I love you fellas. I love this discussion. I love that we bringing up all these various points, which I feel that are insightful. We're approaching the 2-hour mark. And you know, this is the weekend. And I don't know what everybody got planned. But I just want to be mindful of that as well. Like I'm even open if you guys want to do, we can do a part 2. And, you know, we keep the conversation going. Of course, there are other questions I didn't ask, but I definitely like the way the conversation was going and was flowing. So I didn't want to interrupt.
Definitely a part 2.
You know, Charles got smoky, you know, knocked out his video footage, so he had to call in. So,
that's how
crazy over there.
Is, brother. That's how important what you're doing.
Yeah, man.
I'm trying to be here for support, man.
Appreciate it, man. Stop doing your chameleonaire over there and riding dirty, man, with your Zoom on and all that, man. Be safe, man.
All right, fellas.
But so yeah, I'll follow up with you guys in terms of us doing a part 2, so we can try to like get another date set up, you know, possibly for sometime next month. This particular part 1 is going to be after I record this, I'm going to post this, but not to next month. It will be posted on YouTube, Facebook, so forth. But I'll give you a heads up on when it's going to be posted. Of course, you know, direct traffic.
Yeah, for sure.
Direct traffic, the viewer, whatever be the case. But last but not least, if there's like anything you want to plug real quick, you want to promote, you know, take the platform, you know, take advantage of the platform and share that information if you have something you want to promote right now.
Yeah, I definitely could, you know, follow Cleese Cuts on Instagram, CLES Cut CUST, TUTS on Instagram. You know, I do like mobile barbering, and besides that, it's also like I want to like create a lifestyle. So just how we was talking about like businesses, is like, you know, I want to create products. I want to create opportunity for other people to like start their business or whatever they have interest in and so forth. So
hold on, you're a doctor and you cut? Oh,
yeah. All right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Anybody else? All right. Well, listen, much love to you all. I will be in touch as far as just like when the podcast is going to be posted, to figure out when the next time we can actually gather again for part 2 or episode 18. And let's keep it moving. Let's stay curious.
Let's do it.
All right, nice meeting you,
fellas.
Peace.
Likewise. Have a good weekend,
Y'all be
fellas.
safe, man. Definitely.
All right.
Take care.